Gopi Gita, the Gopi's Song of Separation, with commentary by Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedant Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Excerpt from verse 9. If you speak these delightful words directly to us, they are sweeter than celestial nectar. But if, in your absence, we hear anyone else repeat the same words, then it is like death for us. Verse 9. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi grananti te Bhurida jana. Translation. Nectarian discussions about you are the life and soul of those who are tormented by separation from you, and greatly learned personalities such as Brahma, Shiva, and the four Kumaras sing of them. Those narrations vanquish the distress of past sins, prarabdha and aprarabdha. Immediately upon being heard, they bestow the highest auspiciousness and especially the wealth of prema. The nectar of your narrations is expanded by those who glorify your pastimes, and therefore such narrators are truly the most generous benefactors in the world. In the previous verse, the gopis told Krishna, "We always remember your conversations with Srimati Radhika and us in the kunjas and other solitary places. When you called us with the melody of your flute, we came to you from our homes, leaving everything behind. At that time, you told us, Swagatam vo Mahabhaga Priyam Kim Karvani Vaha. O most fortunate ladies, welcome. How can I please you?" When Shri Krishna spoke these words, his face was grave. It seemed as though he was speaking the complete truth, revealing what was really on his mind without concealing anything. "Why have you come here?" he asked. "Have you come because of any mishap in your home? You are not even dressed properly. Is everything in order in your homes and in your hearts?" The gopis also remember Krishna telling Radhika, "Whether you act in a contrary manner or submissively, you're the life of my life. Sometimes you come to me, but upon seeing me, you turn and leave. Sometimes you become angry for no reason. At such times I request you again and again to be pleased with me, but you do not listen, and you disagree with whatever I say. At other times you eagerly meet and perform loving pastimes with me. Still, whether you are contrary or submissive, you are my life and soul. Without you, I would die. You stand in a certain way and cast glances at me from the corner of your eyes, and those glances directly enter my heart like flower arrows." The gopis describe this conversation as charming to the mind. Everything about Krishna, his way of glancing, his every action, his flute playing, and so forth, is exceptionally sweet and attractive. Now, in this verse, the gopis say, "Tava katha amritam." If you speak these delightful words directly to us, they are sweeter than amrit, celestial nectar. But if in your absence we hear anyone else repeat the same words, then it is like mrityu or death for us. Tava katha mritam. First, we will explain the meaning of this verse according to the gopis with a submissive mood or dakshinya bhava, who express themselves directly. They may speak the same words as the gopis with a contrary mood or Vamya Bhava who express themselves indirectly, but the meaning of their words is completely different. When Shri Krishna asks the gopis why they compare his katha to nectar or amrit, they reply, because when we look at the two other types of nectar, your katha is superior. There are three types of amrit. Although these three differ vastly in the results attained by drinking them, they are all referred to as amrit. One kind of amrit is found in Swarga, the heavenly planets. It is said that the demigods become free from death by drinking that ambrosia, but that is not true. They live for the period of only one manvantara, or 306,720,000 years, and after that they must die. Still that drink is called Amrita. The Amrita of Swarga can act as a medicine to cure a disease, but it cannot console one who is unhappy. When Bali Maharaj captured the Nandankanan gardens of the heavenly planets, he drank Amrita, but still he was grief-stricken because he had left his wife, children and kingdom for such a long time. Moreover, if a person drinks this Amrit of heaven, he becomes extremely lusty. After Indra and Chandra drank it, they went to Gautam Rishi's wife to satisfy their lusty desires, and were then cursed by Gautam Rishi. Because that Amrit increases the desire to taste sense enjoyment in the material world, it is actually a very lowly thing. The second type of Amrit is the nectar of liberation or Moksha Amrita. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6:11-25, Vritasura prayed, Na naka prishtham na cha parameshtham, na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam, na yoga siddhir apunarbhavam va, samanjasitva virhaya kankshe. O my Lord, source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruvaloka, the heavenly planets, or the planet where Lord Brahma resides. Nor do I want to be supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be master of the powers of mystic yoga, nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet. The words Na Punar Bhavam in the above mentioned verse means cessation of the repeated birth and death. In this connection, the revealed scriptures state that if someone attains Mokshamrita, the nectar of liberation, then all the unfructified reactions to his material activities or aprarabdha karma are finished. But he still has to suffer the reactions of that are fructifying or prarabdha karma. On the other hand, even the fructified reactions of one who hears Harikatha, the third type of nectar, are destroyed. One who deeply hears Harikatha does not have to do anything else to attain perfection. He does not even have to practice the other 8 limbs of bhakti. The 9 limbs of bhakti are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Arjanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:5-23. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with one's body, mind, and words. Shri Krishna's devotee becomes eligible for Krishna to immediately enter his heart simply by hearing about him. The devotee becomes liberated from Krishna's deluding material potency known as Maya, and is able to see Krishna personally. Drinking heavenly nectar does not decrease ignorance, rather it increases it, and the nectar of liberation gives no taste of service to Krishna. Consequently, in every respect, Harikatha is superior to the nectar of heaven and the nectar of liberation. The nectar of Harikatha is Tapta Jivanam, which means that it gives life to those who are suffering in any painful condition. It gives life to those who are deceased and to those who are unhappy in this world in any way. Harikatha also gives life to anyone who is feeling separation from Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and it removes the pain of that separation in every way. The person who hears Harikatha becomes peaceful. Kavi Bhireditam. Kavi really means a poet or great thinker, but here it refers to devotees because the nectar of Harikatha is far above the two other kinds of nectar. It is glorified, Ididitam, by devotees. Like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Sri Narad Rishi, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, who are always relishing the superior nectar, they say that it gives life. It is stated by Dhruv Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 4, 9, 10, Ya Nivrittis Tanubhritam. If embodied souls hear Harikatha, they attain supreme happiness. This spiritual happiness is superior to the pleasure of thinking oneself one in all respects with Brahma, the impersonal absolute. The pleasure of all impersonalism, what to speak of the temporary happiness derived from the nectar of Svarga, is like a tiny atom of happiness in comparison to the joy resulting from hearing Harikatha. There is actually no comparison. Shri Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita that those who go to Svarga eventually return to this world. They may go there again and again, but they always return. Te tam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam, kshine punye martyalokam vishanti, evam trahi dharmam anuprapanna, gata gatam kama kama labhante. Bhagavad Gita 9:21. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Thus, the delight sought in heaven cannot be compared to that of hearing Harikatha, which is able to destroy every type of material desire and ignorance. When we forget Krishna, Maya captures us and stimulates our material desires. Actually, Maya has two functions by which she accomplishes this. Her potency known as Vikshep Atmika, which generates a kind of material knowledge and throws the jiva into ignorance, and a potency known as Avarana Atmika, which covers the jiva's natural knowledge about his eternal relationship with Sri Krishna. Lust causes us to forget Krishna, and that is why it is called ignorance. Only Harikatha has the potency to uproot this lust. Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes seem to have given up sensual desires, but this is only a show, for the nectar of liberation cannot uproot the desire for material enjoyment. There are two kinds of monists or Advaitvadis or impersonalists. In one category are the Mayavadis who follow Shankaracharya and who, like Ravan and similar demons, are offenders to the Supreme Lord. In the second category are personalities like Sanak Sanandan Sanatan Sanat Kumar and Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who initially were Brahmavadis or Nirgunyavadis, aspiring for Nirgun Krishna. They were not offenders. Nirgun Krishna means Krishna without qualities. The Brahmavadis accept the existence of God or Brahma, but they have no information about the sweet qualities of his superior personal feature, and that is why they worship him without qualities. This is not offensive, because as soon as they hear about extraordinary qualities of the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, they immediately become his devotees and give up their worship of his impersonal feature. It is explained in the Vedas that Brahmavadis or Nirgunyavadis want to become one with the Supreme, but they do not try to negate and deny the existence of his personal feature, as do Shankaracharya and his followers. If they meet a devotee, they easily take to the process of bhakti. As stated earlier, when Hari Katha actually enters a person's ear, it is not necessary for him to perform any other limb of bhakti. He does not even have to chant and remember the holy names of the Lord, engage in worship, or offer him sattva or prayers and stutis or praises. Hari Katha at once takes him to Shri Krishna as stated in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1-2. Dharma projit kaitvo atra parmo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivdam taputrayo anumolanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni krite kim va parayarishvara Satyo hriday avrudyate atra kritibhi shubhist takshanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. This verse explains that if a person hears Hari Katha with faith, that Hari Katha makes such impressions or samskaras in his heart that Sri Krishna personally manifests and remains there forever. This takes place at once, without delay, takshanat, as stated in many other places in the scriptures. Hari Katha gives prema. One might argue that a conditioned soul may have a taste for Hari Katha at the time of actually hearing it, but then, when he is not hearing, Maya attacks him again. In this connection, the above-mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam verse states, Kritbhi shubhista, meaning, those who have developed intense eagerness to hear, regular hearing creates shraddha or faith, followed by anartha nivritti or freedom from unwanted habits and thoughts, and then nishtha or steadiness, ruchi or taste, asakti or attachment to Krishna, bhava or spiritual emotions, and prema, pure love. Within a seed is the potential for a tree. The seed sprouts and grows 2 leaves, then 4 leaves, then twigs and branches, then flowers, and finally fruit. This takes some time. Similarly, a soul may have been wandering in the material world for countless lifetimes. Yet, Hari Katha is so powerful that it may even give the result of prema in just 1 lifetime. This is what is meant by immediately. After hearing Hari Katha for only 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj entered Shri Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. He was not killed by the snake bird that bit him, as some say. Those who were present at the time could not see that his soul had actually left his body before the snake bird bit him. Parikshit Maharaj was more advanced than Dhruva Maharaj, Ajamil, and even Narad Rishi. The word Kalm Shapuham in this Gopi Gita verse means that Hari Katha drives away all sinful reactions. The words Shri Madatitam means your Katha is distributed throughout the world by those who speak it. And the phrase Bhuvi Kranantiye Bhuri Dajanaha implies that those who hear Hari Katha will always be indebted to the speaker, no matter how much they give in appreciation. That is why such speakers are called Bhuri Daha. Bhuri means in extreme and Daha means those who give. We are indebted to those who give Hari Katha because their gift is so great that whatever we offer in return will not be sufficient. This is the direct meaning of the 9th verse as spoken by the gopis whose mood is submissive or dakshinya bhav. The meaning of the gopis with contrary mood or vamya bhav who express themselves indirectly is as follows. When we directly hear Hari Katha, you speak, It is so wonderful that all distress and calamities disappear from our lives. At that time, it is far superior to the Amrit of heaven and liberation. On the other hand, you are not present, that Katha becomes deadly. In the sunshine, the lotus in the lake blossoms and spreads its fragrance, whereas a lotus that is out of the water will wither and shrivel. Accordingly, the gopis are telling Krishna, if you are personally telling us Harikatha, it tastes sweeter than nectar. On the other hand, to hear it from someone else simply causes us pain. It reminds us of you, and thus it is mrita or deadly because it increases the blazing fire of separation. It is like throwing a few drops of water in a pot of burning oil, which makes the flames soar upward. Kavi Bhiriditam. Why then do the Puranas say that Harikatha is like Amrit? According to these gopis, the nature of kavis or scholarly poets is to deliberately embellish it in this way. Instead of saying, the horse is running, a poet will say, the horse is flying through the air. By his poetic speech, he attributes a particular virtue to one who does not have it. He is such a scholar, he is like Brahaspati, the priest of the demigods, or he is as strong as Hanuman. The gopis argue, we are always speaking Harikatha, so if it really possesses the qualities of Amrit, why do we feel intense anguish without respite in our separation from you? We have left our homes, our husbands, and all our possession for you, and now we are roaming like beggars and continually weeping. But there is no one to remove our tears. Kalma Shapaham. The poets have said that Harikatha drives away apaham, all kinds of sinful reactions and inauspiciousness or kalmasha, including ignorance. But we are evidence to the contrary. We must have performed extremely sinful activities to be so tormented, but that torment is not removed by your Harikatha. Tonight, we are roaming here and there, sobbing bitterly, for you have left us and vanished from our sight. We can thus understand that the nectar of your Katha is not kalmashapaham, rather it gives kalmasha. Everyone says that the nectar of your Katha is Shravan Mangalam, meaning that it is very sweet to hear and that it brings all auspiciousness. But we do not feel like this. We do not have any experience of it giving auspiciousness. We are always discussing your whereabouts, your dancing, your beauty, and your qualities. We have spoken and heard so much Krishna Katha, yet our lives are devoid of auspiciousness. If hearing Hari Katha is auspicious, you would have come to meet with us. Bhuri Daha. Daha means giving, but it can also mean severed. Hence, Bhuri Daha means giving good fortunes and also severing good fortune. The anguished gopis say, we have seen what happens to those who hear your Katha, your Krishna Katha. We have considered this deeply and have come to the conclusion that those who speak Hari Katha have caused all our good fortune to be severed. They have disturbed and spoiled our lives. The gopis then explain to Krishna how this happens. Shri Madaditam. Those who spread Hari Katha all over the world are Shrimad. This word is composed of two syllables, Shri and Mad. The last A in the Mada combines with the first A in Atitam. Shri means wealth and opulence, and Mada means intoxication. The gopis say, the wealthy or Shri become intoxicated or Mada as if drunk on alcohol, and then they become rogues and rascals, killing everyone in the world for no reason. They act in this way even though they gain nothing. With the aim of whimsically killing everyone for no benefit to themselves, these rogues and rascals summon speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam and promise to give them as much wealth as they want. Just propagate the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, they say. Go from village to village, door to door. Speak such topics that people will abandon all they possess, their spouses, their fathers and mothers, their children, their wealth, and all material happiness. Let them become street beggars and die miserably. These speakers travel throughout the world. They go everywhere from town to town saying, "We do not want anything from you. Just chant Hare Krishna and hear this Hari Katha." In this way, they spoil everyone's lives. They are hunters and killers of mankind and are certainly Bhuri Daha, meaning they cause the death of those who hear them by destroying their happiness and ruining their lives. In the future, Krishna will leave Vrindavan to reside in Dwarika. At that time, Srimati Radhika will again speak like this, saying, Yad anucharit leela karna piyush vipruta sakrit adan vidhut dvand dharma vinashta sapadi graha kutumb deenam usrijyadina bhav ihi vihanga bhikshu charyam charanti. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:47-18. To hear about the pastimes that Krishna regularly performs is nectar for the ears. For those who relish just a single drop of that nectar, even once, their dedication to material duality is ruined. Many such persons have suddenly given up their wretched homes and families and themselves becoming wretched, travelled here to Vrindavan to wander about like birds begging for their living. It is in fact that those who hear Krishna Katha from the right source will eventually leave their homes, families, and everything they possess. They become like birds living in the shade of different tree each day. They roam about in Vrindavan with no possessions like street beggars weeping. They drink water from the Yamuna river from their cupped hands because they have no water pot. They chant Hare Krishna and weep. They do not take food at regular intervals, so they become thin and frail. After hearing Hari Katha, they are reduced to this condition no matter what position they previously held in society, be it a prince or anything else. The gopis conclude, no one should hear Hari Katha. The only reason we are discussing it is that we cannot stop. They speak like this to beseech Krishna to return to them. Please come here at once, they pray. If you do not come, we will die. And if we die, everyone will criticize you. They will say, Krishna is cruel. He is not even slightly kind-hearted. Those poor gopis were weeping, but still he did not go to them. Only the gopis dare to speak or even think like this, and only their followers can appreciate their words. It seems that they are blaspheming Hari Katha as well as those who preach it, but this is not so. Actually, this speech employs a literary device called Vyajstuti or praise in disguise. And this literary ornament was also later employed by Srila Rupa Goswami in his writings. In this way, they are not actually being critical, rather, their ironic words carry more ambrosia than ordinary, straightforward praise. Krishna is immediately pleased by their words and thinks, if I do not bring myself before them, it will be an insult on my part. This is the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Srila Jiva Goswami has elucidated on this verse in a similar way in his Vaishnav Tushni. During the Rath Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri, King Pratap Rudra recited Gopi Geet to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he uttered this verse, which glorifies Hari Katha, Mahaprabhu immediately remembered Rasa Leela and became most ecstatic. Mahaprabhu remembered both the above meanings as well as every other aspect of this verse. We can only mentally contemplate these explanations, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose sentiments are those of Srimati Radhika, could actually experience them. He was really seeing Krishna in his heart and feeling separation from him. And Krishna also gave Mahaprabhu his darshan. Mahaprabhu embraced the king, who then became a recipient of his mercy.